let's do this. Let's start the gun control conversation. We have an article, though.
Cool.
So this is from CNN Politics. John Cornyn, top Republican negotiator on gun package, booed at Texas GOP convention. I saw a photo. Apparently they were throwing lanyards with his name in it in the garbage. And then they booed the guy.
Honest poll for the chat.
I just want to point this out. When we're talking about politics and the establishment uniparty, you've got Republicans who say, okay, Democrats, we'll compromise and give into gun control. And Democrats who say, the moment you do, we'll call for twice as much. So the direction only moves towards more gun control. Where's the Republican negotiation with Democrats on them abolishing certain gun laws or repealing certain gun laws? Never happens.
Never, ever. Well, and this is what they constantly say. Why won't the Republicans compromise with us? Okay, well, by definition, a compromise involves both sides getting something. You're literally just asking for concessions.
Right.
And the Republicans give them to them.
And there shouldn't be any concessions when it comes to our God-given rights. And
Amen.
I think that's a stance that we should be making, saying, hey, we've given enough to the government. We've given them all of our money. We've given them all of our privacy. We've given them all of our trust. And they have deceived us every single day. And when you look at history, when populations disarm, when populations give up their weapons, when populations become defenseless, it's when governments are able to do whatever they want with them. And I think it's extremely dangerous where we're headed towards as a country. And I think there should be a criticism right now on the Republicans here more than the Democrats, because it's the Republicans here that are allowing a lot of this to move through.
This is the problem with Republicans in D.C. I despise Republicans in D.C. You could count on your hand how many of them you could actually rely on to be about what they're about, right? John Cornyn, one of these guys. The problem with the Senate is that it's a retirement home, right? They go and raise the age on being able to buy guns. Why? Because they're well over the age, right? It doesn't affect them. And so the Senate Republicans, Cornyn is already putting up the signal right now that he's about to get blown out. The same thing happened to Jacobs. I think Chris Jacobs in New York 23. He came out. He was a House Republican in a super conservative district in New York, right? It's a R plus 23. He comes out and says, you know what? I'm willing to compromise and vote for gun control. In about 3 or 4 days later, he had to come out and say, "I'm no longer seeking re-election." Right? Because that's how much pushback that he got. That he realized, like, oh, I said the one thing that just ruined my entire political career.
Can they recall him? Can we do a recall or something for senators?
No, you can't do. I think it'll go state by state what you'll be able to do with the senator, but I don't think you can recall a senator. But in that moment, that showed you that still the uproar from the people pushed that guy Jacobs out. And to break a little news on this show, I'm actually going to be the comms director for Carl Palladino in New York 23 to go and bring that seat and bring it to a real conservative. Carl Palladino, if he's elected, he will be the MTG of the North. He will raise hell in the Capitol, and we need a guy like that.
A lot of gun control bills that need to be repealed.
And Carl will stand up because that district was challenged on that gun control bit right there. That seat opened because of that. So Carl knows what the deal is. He's going to go make sure our inalienable rights are protected.
It's really easy to look at gun rights and human rights in America. Let's remember that the right to own a firearm is a human right, and if you think otherwise, you can go find a way to not be a part of talking. But that's diplomatic, right?
They tried getting a 3-week waiting period for all gun purchases.
Look at there needs to be room for optimism here, and the room for optimism is in our generation. I am 32 years old. I am sunburnt from spending a week in South Dakota, which has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. What does have something to do with it is we live in a generation where we could very well see the NFA repealed. We can see it. I do not believe in getting doomer pilled and saying
that's the National Firearms Act.
Yeah, the National Firearms Act. The reason why you can't own you have to go through a special process to own a barrel that has a length shorter than 16 inches, or to own a suppressor which protects your hearing.
Suppressors make it safe for everyone.
And this kind of comes back down to that. If you think that suppressors are like Hollywood quiet and super dangerous, you don't know what you're talking about.
Here's the crazy. Here's the crazy thing too. They have handguns that are suppressed. That means they've made like, hey, we're going to make this handgun. It's going to be safer. It's not going to be as dangerous. And they're like, no, that's an NFA item.
It's an NFA item. So to break the stigma, why do you think he got booed? Do you think he got booed because he betrayed the Republican Party or because he betrayed the American people?
The people.
I'm telling you that they booed him because he betrayed the American people.
Correct.
It turns out when you betray the American people and you're running for Republican, you lose your seat. You betray the American people and you're running for Democrat, you become president.
If you betray the American people and you're a Democrat, all you got to do is come out and wave a flag or make some garbage statement, and they'll say, sure, whatever, as long as we're aligned socially, so that can fit in.
Yeah, you can bring economic ruin upon the people where they're literally starving in the streets. But you know what? At least he didn't make mean tweets.
Some people are masochists. You know, Adam Schiff can lie every single day. He can push the Russiagate lies, and people just they love it. They love being pissed on by this guy, and they're going to keep voting for him.
But did you know that Trump called him watermelon head? And that's really
did he really?
And that's really unpresidential. Yeah.
Did he do that? Okay,
I feel bad for watermelons.
Well, that's the thing. Adam Schiff and these guys, they sit in really safe blue seat. It all depends on the political pressure at the end of the day. These guys are cold and calculated. They don't believe in a damn thing, right? And so as long as that seat is sitting there blue as hell and nobody can touch Adam Schiff on a fundraising perspective or a popularity perspective, that guy's going to sit there for a while. And if it gets out of his hand, it goes to the left. It doesn't go to the right, right? And so this is the problem. We don't do enough. I believe on the conservative side, we are not willing to go into those districts and challenge those people because, quite frankly, it would cost you a lot of money to do it, and you'd probably still lose, right? So I get that. But we have to build the infrastructure, and it's a long-term project.
I'll tell you why I think one of the factors that is leading us to civil war. We've had on a bunch of people on the show. We've had on Billy Prempe, for instance.
I love him.
But he was running as a Republican in a deep blue district.
Yeah, I know. I helped him shoot an ad for him.
And he should have done that, because what's happened is you get the GOP that says, okay, we got to be strategic. We have X amount of dollars. That's a D plus 7. Maybe we shouldn't invest so much money in that because we're going to lose. Mm-hmm. Next year, it's a D14. Well, we definitely don't want to invest in there because we're going to lose. Next year, it's a D28.
Yep.
This keeps happening. It happens with Republicans as well. It is hyper-polarizing the country. Mm-hmm. You have areas like Adam Schiff or Nancy Pelosi's district or Ocasio-Cortez's district where she's in a D plus 28.
Yeah.
And it's because Republicans do not try to spend money there and get their messaging out. And because of that, now you've got the amount of swing districts is everything's being pushed further and further left or right.
Right. But you know what that has done, though? The satisfaction with the representative for each district has gone up since then. Right. So there's a little
that just makes it worse.
It does
in terms of the polarization.
Right. Because you're firmly in with your guy. Right. Well, oh, I love him. He's all the way to, he's to the right of me. I love him. Right. Or to the left of me. This is also part of the gerrymandering, argument, right? What is the way we make the maps, right? They have the communities of interest standard. My friend Gavin Wax just won his lawsuit in New York. He was on this show before, but he challenged the assembly maps, got them thrown out. Special master is going to have to redraw them next year, I think. But how is it now that it's going to be drawn out? Do you make it so that everybody? Well, what is fair? Right, in that sense. And so
fair is when I win.
Correct. That is the right answer, actually. When it comes to politics, unfortunately, as much as you hate it, that is the right answer.
See, the issue is,
you have the
left.
But
the left is, we should win because we should win. The right is, we should win because we propose these ideas that we think will work better. Mm-hmm. Many on the left think that's what they're doing. But then you run into problems of, look, the modern left may be different from where the left was 10 years ago. I hear a lot of people like Bill Maher, and they rag on Republicans, and it's like, yeah, you're talking about like boomer Republicans and stuff. The younger generation of people that align in this direction are post-liberal, libertarian, moderate, conservative, etc. There's a wide range of voices. On the left, they say things like, we should raise the minimum wage. And you see a simple question. What will that do? And then how does it go, Seamus?
Oh, yeah. So this is how the left operates. They go, I want good thing. I want good thing. And then you go, okay, so like, how are you going to structure the legislation to get that? How are we going to pay for it? You want bad thing. You want bad thing. He wants bad thing.
I don't want bad thing.
You want bad thing. You want bad thing. He wants bad thing.
And then they put big sign saying bad person, bad person,
want bad thing.
Perfect. This is you asked the question, what are the things pushing us towards civil war or open conflict? Let's just call it open conflict. The gun debate is the perfect example, the gun debate.
Why the gun debate?
Why the gun
I think
debate?
Abortion is way.
Abortion.
Well, 17
Because
pro-life pregnancy centers have been firebombed.
Every 4 years,
more now,
right now, I
apparently.
mean, every 4 years we have the same talk. In 2012 and 2013, this is when I was introduced into the political gun conversation. What happened? You had Sandy Hook,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden, all of these gun control, assault weapons, magazines, and people made money off of all of the ridiculous things that people said. They wanted to propose all these ideas, these do something peoples. If that is the extent of your intellect, wow, man. But
how does that?
The point that I'm saying is you had all of these arguments that were made, that all these pro-gun control arguments, every single one of them turned out to be factually wrong, ethically wrong, or just, I don't know, overt tyranny. So they all collapsed. And then 4 years later, we had Parkland shooting. What happened to those old arguments? They came out of the dust.
Same exact arguments.
Same exact arguments. You could carbon copy them.
But I don't think that is a contributing. I believe that's a contributing factor to some degree to Civil War.
No, because the people on the right, or the people who support the private ownership of firearms, respond honestly and say, well, these are your ideas, but you're wrong, so I'll help you out and correct them. And then the people who propose gun control they don't think, oh, I was wrong, maybe I should change my opinion. It's not politically advantageous. If you want to stop a civil war, if you want to prevent or move against a civil war in this country, stop pushing the ridiculous ideas that you've been corrected on for 10 years.
You're just talking about the left, be it guns or any other political issue. I posted on Facebook today, what is a woman? And boy, did every single leftist flip out. And I said, I don't understand why you can't just be like, here's my answer. Instead, they all say you're a bigot. It's a right-wing talking point. Oh, Matt Walsh made this up. I'm not playing games. And I'm just like, wow, they really have no answer.
I don't think
it doesn't matter if it's gun control,
Yeah.
abortion, or any other left-wing issue, if it's progressive taxes or universal health care. They won't answer the questions, nor will they do any real research. And let me throw it to another example. Of course, we can talk about abortion when we can get sophists from the left who are like, oh, it's the woman's choice. Give me your answer, your morality. They won't do it. Let's talk about the Green New Deal. Here's the Green New Deal as it's pitched. We need to invest in infrastructure that will make us energy independent, getting off of fossil fuels so that we're not reliant on Saudi Arabia or Russia or Canada. And we can do that with wind, with tidal energy, with geothermal.
Nuclear.
Well, the Green New Deal doesn't say that.
Yep.
And then we say, okay, I love the sound of that. That sounds really great, actually. I love the idea of energy independence. We don't want to be dependent on Saudi Arabia. What's your proposal? And they bring to you a resolution that says free college for marginalized people, free healthcare for marginalized people. And when I asked, as progressive on the show, what does that have to do with wind turbines? He says, well, it's because they're the people who are first affected by climate change. What are you talking about? There are more poor white people in the United States than minority poor people. So if you're talking about poverty, what? Tell me how you're going to build wind turbines. I'll have a conversation. But even when it comes to things that are considered left that I like, they immediately just change the argument to something totally nonsensical. And then here I am, as AOC's she wins her primary, talks about the Green New Deal. I made a video. I'm like, I love the idea. Let's start rebuilding our infrastructure, our bridges, our streets. Let's focus on how to alleviate ourselves from this dependence on foreign oil. We can do that with green energy in this country. And then she's like, I'm proposing the Green New Deal resolution. And it's like, free college for marginalized people. And I'm like, what? That's nothing to do with what we talked about. But you know what the problem is? People on the left overwhelmingly just said, whatever you say, AOC.
You want to make college useless, make it free.
Well, here's the thing. Well, I got bad news for you. Yeah, it's really expensive and it's useless.
The GI Bill paid for mine.
Well, the other thing is that when they couch all their arguments in platitudes, and then they don't have to get into the specifics, then it leaves that open, right? They don't get it's like, well, what is a woman? A woman is, by definition, somebody who feels like a woman, blah blah blah. And then it's like, well, what if somebody feels like a cat? Are they a cat, right? And then it's like, well, what are you trying to say? That a woman is a cat or a trans person is an animal, right? They go into all their little games, right? Because they don't want to they don't want to corner themselves.
Their response to Matt Walsh and what is a woman is, a woman is a person who identifies as a woman. Okay, is a cat a person who identifies as a cat? No, a cat is something very specific and quantifiable. I mean, woman and man are as well. But they're just making weird semantic arguments. Now, I'll say this. The reason why Matt Walsh's question was so effective is that it's an apolitical question. The average person who's not involved in politics would not understand the deeper political meaning behind it. They simply see someone say, what is it? And they go, oh yeah, let me give you my answer. But when you look at the political debate and you see someone go, well, actually, the thing is, you go, what?
Yeah.
That's weird.
When you ask somebody a basic question and they talk down to you,
Yeah.
or they look, I think he did a stoic job holding his face.
So
Yeah.
this is the issue I see. We talk about this comic. Ian mentioned it several times, where there's two people, and there's a 6 from one perspective and a 9 from another perspective, and both people are looking at it from other directions, pointing at it saying 6 or 9. They can't tell. They're looking at the same thing from the other side. And sure, but what I see here, especially with what we do, is I'm staring at that and I go, that could be a 6 or a 9. And they go, you're a bigot. It's clearly a 6. And I'm like, I understand why you think that. I'm saying, have you tried looking at No, it clearly is. And okay.
Yeah, but
Also, whoever put it there in the first place did intend for it to be a 6 or a 9.
So the comic,
Right.
the comic
one
is
or the
a view
other.
from above fallacy. The comic, it's the same thing with the blind men touching the elephant. One man touches the ears and he's like, oh, it's a leaf, and another guy touches the foot and says it's a tree, and another one touches the tail and says it's a snake. It turns out all the blind men are wrong. It's an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
the metaphor sounds nice. Oh, you're so enlightened because all these blind man can't tell that they're touching an elephant, but there's an elephant because
Yeah.
you said it was in the beginning.
What happened when they went under the hood?
No.
Let's not go there.
It's
man.
it's
The
an
Velociraptor. It's the next sequel for Jurassic Park.
There you go.
Well,
Oh no.
This is also so when it comes to Matt Walsh's film, part of the brilliance of it is that, look, I was following this on Twitter, and I follow Matt, so I saw people tagging him saying, I can't believe Matt was willing to keep this interview in his film even though he got completely scorched in it. It's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I've seen
because
that,
they think saying more buzzwords means you won the argument because
Have you-
you sound smart. They didn't even sound smart. You could tell they were saying nothing.
Have
But
you read
guys
their
mentioned
blogs?
Cats. I've seen some of the responses, and
Look.
they're really pathetic. But I want to make a point. You were talking about defining what a cat is, and they can do that. I think what's even more fun to ask them is, why can't you identify as being part of a different racial or ethnic group? Because that actually does exist on a spectrum. Sex doesn't, but racial identity does. Like, someone can be, like a man and a woman don't have like a half man, half woman,
bro,
baby.
I've tried that before, talking to these people.
How do they respond to that? Like,
I'm
what's the
actually
argument?
Japanese. I identify as Japanese. I'm 5% Japanese. True story. 20% Korean, 5% Japanese.
I'm more
Did you do your
native,
ancestry?
I'm more Native American than Elizabeth
my
Warren.
parents.
Yeah, there you
All right,
go.
but like, who is it?
Yeah.
So, but when I said it, they go, no, you're white.
My grandfather.
Remember we had that one
He's
that
100%
one
Swedish.
fella in here who said no matter what I thought I was white.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
And I was
wild.
like,
I don't remember that.
we had a guy in here, and
I
I was
wasn't there.
explaining, like, I've experienced racism, and he was like, no, you haven't, you're white. And I'm like, well, I'm actually, part of these other things.
Did you
so
say-
you don't get to, even if you are.
Did you say that how many buzzwords you use makes how smart you are?
that's
Balancing
what
the
it means to
ticket,
them.
bellwether state, blue state, coastal elites, coffers, dark horse, dark money, earmark, inside the beltway. Am I doing good?
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
genius.
Red state, war chest,
Look,
wedge
listen.
issue.
Look at these blog
Asymmetric
posts on intersectional feminism and critical race theory from
Insurgency.
the early 2010s, and it'll be a simple question like, what is racism? And then you ask someone on the right, and they'll say, positive or negative prejudice based on someone's race. And it's like, oh, okay, so like, I understand that. You could be racist in a way where you're actually complimenting someone, but it's a stereotype. Oh, I get it. You ask one of these academics, and they'll say, the word racism is rooted in white Anglo-colonial culture. The British colonizers who traveled around the world, and it's like, okay, what? I just asked you for a definition. And they're like, hold on.
I don't want a video essay,
Wait,
bro.
it's the
The
leftist meme.
internalized, yeah, exactly. It's this big, long-winded thing. Have you seen the meme on What is a Woman? Where someone said that a woman texted her boyfriend, "What is a woman?"
Yes,
and he sent her
yes.
this like 3,000 word treatise on like his thoughts and philosophies.
And she said, "Oh, you are."
"Is that what she did?"
No, but she should have.
No, but it was like,
Welcome to being
instead
single.
of instead of saying something simple, and I'll tell you this, there is a simple leftist answer to the question. They never give it because I don't think they actually read their own literature. I did, so I know what the actual higher level academic left answer is. I'll say in a second. They say, this guy says something like, he's like, why are you asking such a question? And how would we quantify what one was, even if we wanted to? First, let's think about what you mean by that. Are you talking about outward appearance? As in, what clothing does she wear? Or perhaps the makeup or the hairstyle? Well, if you're doing that, then you're confusing men with long hair with women. Well, that certainly couldn't work. What if we're talking about organs? Certainly, and then you just go
Can I
to this
just mention
long-winded...
Are we going to go?
As if anyone ever said, like, this is how we define men versus women, long hair versus short hair. Like, are you talking to 4-year-olds?
So let me explain.
You're
Let me
so
explain real
smart
quick.
because you're going to go into, it's a social construct.
Right, so let me explain
whatever.
though. So when Matt Walsh talked to this college professor and he said, what is a woman? And he said, it's someone who identifies as a woman. That's a guy who never actually read the actual literature. When he went on Dr. Phil and was talking to those non-binary people, and he asked them, and they said, a woman is a person who identifies as a woman, because they never actually read the literature. Do you know what actual leftist academics say? There's only a few of them who've actually written or read about it. They say, a woman is a person who identifies as an adult human female.
So, okay.
So there's still logical inconsistencies in that statement, when they say a woman is a person who identifies as a woman, and Matt Walsh says, what is that? Well, an adult human female. But because we're being inclusive, some people identify as an adult human female, such as a trans woman, so we would say that is in the category of woman. Mm-hmm. You can argue the logic there and say, okay, I get what you're trying to say now, but here's why I think that doesn't work. Fine. They never do it because they don't read their own books.
Right.
Like you had a college professor who couldn't just say that. I'm talking to these leftists, and I'm like, why don't you just give them your own answer and say, next question, please? Well, because and then advance the conversation.
Maybe it's because they're afraid of giving an answer knowing they're going to be canceled in about 76 minutes when it changes.
Yes, exactly.
Be as vague as possible, right? Be as vague as possible.
Because
let your yes mean something else and your no means something else.
Oh,
basically,
yes,
is their doctrine.
What,
no, because you would agree with me on that one.
Was it Oberlin College that the guy got canceled who was like a left? It was the professor. Right, the first people they go after are their own.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yep.
You know, they're hoping that a right winger actually says this stuff to go and cancel.
They are trained to speak the way a high schooler writes an English essay when he's trying to reach the word quota. And they think the more
the significance of the passage of time,
which is why they elected Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Joe,
the worst.
come on, man.
Wait, who was it?
Yeah, I have an AI word expander thing. I should take the definition adult human female, put it in the AI, and say make this phrase 3,000 words. Then print it out and be like, here's my answer. Actually, maybe I can do that right now. Let's see if I can do this.
I used to do the size 14 font and then the size 16 periods and commas.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. that was my trick.
That's
brilliant.
Like
It's also why I dropped out of high school.
Yes, well,
1.5 space instead of single space. You got to find these little workarounds.
1.25 space. But I'm going to look down on you as an academic. I wrote too many pages.
The significance of the passage of time. We were talking about this before, right? Where VP Harris and Buttigieg would be the ideal, the dream ticket to only weird people in like DC marketing firms, right? Because you have one Kamala Harris, significant passage of time, just filling in words in the essay, right? And then you have Pete Buttigieg, who's the 10th guy on the McKinsey conference call, who's kind of chimes in to just let people know that like, hey, I'm here. Make sure you send me my check for the hour, right?
Yeah, thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.